Take a moment and imagine this. A regular day in your city, people going about their lives, and in an instant, a blinding flash of light, a wave of heat hotter than the surface of the sun surges through the streets. Buildings are flattened, cars are melted, and the lives of everyone you know are changed forever. To understand what happens when a nuclear bomb detonates, we need to go back in history to August 6, 1945. On this day, the United States dropped the first atomic bomb, called Little Boy, on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The bomb exploded 600 meters above the city, releasing energy equal to 9,500 tons of TNT. The explosion created an enormous fireball, instantly vaporizing everything within 1.5 kilometers of the blast. People caught in this zone simply disappeared, their shadows permanently etched onto walls and sidewalks. Buildings were reduced to rubble in a split second. A fiery inferno consumed everything in its path, turning Hiroshima into a smoldering wasteland. In the first day alone, around 80,000 people were killed. Fires raged for days, trapping survivors. But the horror didn't end there. Radiation poisoning from the blast caused agonizing sickness. In the weeks and months that followed, tens of thousands more died from burns, injuries, and illnesses caused by the radiation. By the end of 1945, the death toll had climbed to 140,000. Survivors, known as hibakusha, endured lifelong health problems, including cancer and genetic damage. 3 days later, on August 9th, another bomb, called Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki. This bomb was even more powerful, unleashing the equivalent of 20,000 tons of TNT. Tens of thousands of people were killed, and the devastation in Nagasaki, like Hiroshima, was beyond comprehension. Together, these bombings marked the end of World War II, but they left an indelible scar on humanity. But let's step forward into the present. What would happen if a modern nuclear bomb, far more powerful than those dropped in 1945, were detonated in a major city today? Imagine a 300 kiloton hydrogen bomb exploding over your city. That's 20 times more powerful than Little Boy. The fireball alone would be several kilometers wide, with temperatures reaching tens of millions of degrees Celsius. Everything within this area, buildings, people, and vehicles, would be completely vaporized. Next comes the heat wave, spreading outward in all directions. Even 10 kilometers away, the heat would cause third-degree burns. Flammable materials like wood, paper, and clothing would ignite spontaneously, starting thousands of fires. The shockwave, traveling faster than the speed of sound, would level buildings up to 15 kilometers away, creating an apocalyptic scene of destruction. The explosion would release a massive dose of ionizing radiation, which would kill many survivors in the hours, days, and weeks after the blast. Radiation sickness is a slow, painful death, damaging cells, organs, and even DNA. Those who survived the initial explosion would face a lifetime of health problems, including cancer and genetic mutations that could affect their children. And if that's not terrifying enough, consider the largest nuclear bomb ever tested, the Tsar Bomba. Built by the Soviet Union in 1961, it had a staggering yield of 50 megatons, 3,300 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. When it was tested in a remote area, the shockwave circled the Earth 3 times, and its mushroom cloud reached 60 kilometers into the sky. If detonated over a major city, the Tsar Bomba would obliterate everything within a 60-kilometer radius, and people 100 kilometers away would still suffer fatal burns. But it doesn't end there. A nuclear explosion creates radioactive fallout, particles of dust and debris contaminated with radiation that can be carried by the wind for hundreds, even thousands of kilometers. This fallout poisons the environment, contaminating water, soil, and food supplies. The long-term effects could render large areas uninhabitable for decades. Now imagine a scenario where multiple nuclear bombs are detonated in a global conflict. The soot and ash thrown into the atmosphere would block sunlight, causing temperatures to plummet. This phenomenon, known as nuclear winter, would disrupt weather patterns and lead to widespread crop failures. Global famine would follow, threatening the survival of billions of people. Humanity, as we know it, might not survive. Despite this terrifying reality, there are still over 12,000 nuclear weapons in the world today. Several nations possess these weapons, and the risk of accidents, miscalculations, or escalating conflicts remains. So what can we do? The only way to survive a nuclear explosion is to prevent it from ever happening. This starts with disarmament, reducing the number of nuclear weapons and working toward their total elimination. It also means educating ourselves and others about the devastating consequences of these weapons, so we can advocate for policies that prioritize peace and diplomacy. But for now, let's focus on prevention, because the best way to survive a nuclear war is to make sure it never happens. Together, we can build a safer, more peaceful future, a future where nuclear weapons are nothing more than a memory. Stay informed, stay hopeful, and join the fight for a world without nuclear weapons.